classmates in an MFA program at UC Davis, and I asked him to work with me on a piece that I was doing for my thesis concert. And that piece didn't have anything to do with race or racism or racial justice, or so I thought, but some racist events outside of the rehearsal process. I don't know, I mean, I think they certainly had an effect on you, and it was just kind of had an unforeseen effect on me, or caused me to start to realize what white privilege was all about, and that just because we were in the university, we were not protected from the racism that still is a big part of our society. So making this piece was, so this piece is kind of reflecting on that previous project, and is really an ongoing process of reflection. Anything that you wanted?
Oh, it was just that I was glad to have the privilege to work with you. She asked me to, because being able to get into the movement, and that was something that I was not into at all. I was just like, on specific acting course, and then being able to use movement as well is another part of the story that I like using.
Yeah. So he was in the program in acting, and I was there in choreography, and yeah. So we continue to learn from each other in a lot of ways. And so the setup of this is that you're, as I started to say before, you're encouraged to basically move at any time while we're doing this. And it lasts about 20 minutes, give or take. We'll probably do it really fast because we're excited now. But you don't have to stay seated in one place. Basically, the invitation is move wherever you can hear the best. And if you decide that you don't care about hearing and you just want to take it in visually, that's great. So it's up to you, and you're not, you're encouraged to change seats so you can move around, and we can put. So you don't even have to sit down. I just wanted to have chairs in case people, really needed to sit. So, so feel free to move around. And so we'll just run through it, and then we'll take a break for like 5 or 10 minutes, and if you want, you can get something in the cafe, and then we'll come back in here and just have a chance to talk about it if you have questions or feedback for us.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Is there media involved in the piece, or is it just voices?
No, it's just our voices. Maybe I'll close the door. Wanna come in? One of us is
I do not
black,
want to be taken the wrong way.
and the other is white. I do
One of us
not
is
want
black
to
and
be
the other is
taken the
white.
wrong way.
I do not want to be taken the
One of
wrong
us is black
way.
and the other is white.
One of us is black and the other is white.
I do not want to be taken the wrong way. liberal moment, our culture struggles with naming or not naming race.
Each day I do a job
What does it feel like to notice race?
that requires my attention.
I find a useful
I have a short
analogy
life to live.
between the idea of noticing race and my somatic practice of noticing
The meetings
sensations
are going extremely well,
in and on my body.
but it can be dismissed by those who do
I'm
not
following
take
the
it seriously.
thread of this analogy as I keep struggling to find constructive ways to engage with
What do you think?
race-ism. I use the construction race-ism to
It's not his fault he
signal
was born that way.
my perception that there can be no critical engagement with race without also dealing with racism.
If I cannot trust my own gut feelings, what can I
The solo
trust?
performance, Things of the World, was part of my MFA thesis
my body.
on choreography at UC Davis in 2009.
Mind
I made it with
and
and for
emotions
James Marchbanks,
causes the nervous system
my master's degree
to act
classmate
in ways
with a
we
focus
do not
in
understand until after it's gone.
Marchbanks is black
Within
and
the
I'm
clues
white.
of body codes.
Race was
And
not
what we
a
are-
theme
we're
to be
supposed to
explored
identify.
explicitly in our project. So why am I even mentioning it?
Not to weaken the harmony or common goal of the standards.
At the time, I had no clear
Especially growing
words
up within the
or
standard.
concepts for structural racism and was
Yeah.
embarrassed to talk about
Ingrained
it.
within the value system.
Mortified, really. I thought that if I mentioned race, it meant that I was racist. In a way, my
We're away from polite politics in order
attempt
to make
to
ways
be
for the standard.
colorblind in our collaboration was self-servingly
So
naive.
far as to say, under a system,
I could attempt to be colorblind
One
because of my privileged white
refers to the
position.
other as the weak,
But you were trying to do it too.
diseased, useless,
At least it felt
pathetic,
that way to
diseased,
me.
useless, evil, heavy-handedly develops identity.
Race played a role in our project, although it was not supposed to. I was not oblivious to racial difference when I pursued Marchbanks as a collaborator,
Things of the world
and I did not pursue him
was
because of his
directed by
race.
Nina Gallen.
We didn't know each other
I
well,
needed to
but
extend
I
my limbs as far as I could
felt
imagine.
drawn to him as a performer.
Nina told me to stretch,
And I knew that the piece
Reach.
I wanted to make was
encompass the
quiet,
space.
and he embodies quietness, inwardness. I asked him to collaborate with me because of
During
a
this performance
feeling I
piece
had
with Nina on this
about his
text,
relationships
I
to
learned to connect
silence
with physical
and
space.
stillness. They were not identical, of course, to my relationship to silence and stillness, but
Allowing it to
something
inform me,
about them, about him,
such as texture,
felt very beautiful to me,
temperature,
and I thought I might learn something
Color.
valuable by being near him in this way.
light, depth of the room.
I did not set out to think about how racism influences art making. I set out to think about how capitalism influences art making. Now I realize that since the history of global capitalism is based on
This is a life's journey
claiming
that you're
white
not
skin
defeated
privilege
by, says Nina.
and
As
the
I struggled
fungibility of the
to
black
try
body,
to rehearse
as the
the
Afro-pessimists
text,
say,
as I tried to rehearse the text,
if I was looking at capitalism,
trying
I was
to
also
understand
looking at
everything that
racism.
she was doing at
And at the time, I was unable to articulate my discomfort with our country's history of white supremacy and racist violence.
I am like a
Because
flag.
those things were not with
There's a
us in
center
the
of open
rehearsal studio.
space.
How could they be with us and not with us at the same
I leave
time?
out,
How could we be in it and
fall
not
back,
in it at the same time?
throw myself out.
Now you see it, now you don't. Now you can feel it, but you can't see it.
And I am absolutely alone in the great story.
The process of making Things of the World continues to change my life in ways that I did not consciously plan or intend.
But that comes to two opposing sides of the
It
coin.
changed the way I think about race and theater and the way that I theater,
Confused,
the way that I
disappointed,
perceive as an audience member,
Discouraged.
and the ways that I proceed
Or
as a
inspired.
performer and person who thinks about theater.
how do I know if I'm worthy or not? What's with the negative connectivity amongst pro
In this
and
neoliberal moment,
anti-culturalism
our
and
culture still struggles with
paths will
naming
cross?
or not naming race.
This sometimes works, depending on how awkward one's beliefs
Feel
are.
like to notice race.
And serving
And
the
what do I
purpose
do
of
with
the
those
life's journey
feelings once I notice them?
that I do not understand or will never
Scholars
understand
only
in
and
my
do not urge
lifetime.
us to notice race. They argue that public policies based on the notion of a colorblind society are actually harmful because they deny our violent
Yes.
racial history. And the denial
Or
of
no.
self enacts
I am not
a collective
Selfless
psychic
act.
violence that feeds on
that
itself,
presents itself
festering,
worth
growing,
living.
and periodically exploding
Living
over
less.
generations. I do not want to be taken the wrong way.
One of us is black and the other is
One of
white.
us is black and the other is
I do
white.
not want to be taken the wrong
I
way.
don't want to be taken the wrong
One of us
way.
is black and the other
One of
is
us is
white.
black and the other
I
is
do
white.
not want to be taken the wrong way.
I do not want to be taken the
One of
wrong
us is black
way.
and the other is white. I do not
One
want
of us is black
to be
and
taken
the other is
wrong
white.
way. In this neoliberal
Each
moment,
day
our culture struggles with naming
I do a
or
job
not naming
that
race.
requires my full attention.
What does it feel like to notice race?
I have a short life to live
Find a useful analogy.
with an
Noticing race.
infinite amount to prove.
My somatic practice of noticing sensations in and on my body.
The meetings are going extremely well,
I
which
follow the
could be
thread of this
dismissed by
analogy
those who do not take it seriously.
as I find appropriate constructive ways to
Paths
engage in race.
Will cross. If we cannot trust our own gut feelings, what can we trust? Our body
In my solo performance
Mind
Things of the World, it was part of my
and emotions,
thesis choreography.
which causes our
Davis.
nervous system to react in ways we may not
I made it
realize until
with and
after
for
it is
James
gone.
Marchbanks, my MFA classmate,
Within the clues of body
with the focus
code,
in action.
in what we are supposed to identify,
I am white.
not to stray away from truth
Marchbanks is black.
because it weakens the harmony or common goal of the standard
Race was not supposed to play
Especially
a role
when growing up within the
in our
standard
project. Why am I even mentioning
and
it?
being ingrained within a value system
Race played a major role.
and decides to
In our
remove or abandon themselves from it. Nothing to do with polite
At the time, I
politics.
had no clear concept
In
of
order
words
to make ways for the
for
others
racism.
who might have opposing
I was afraid to talk
values
about it.
to the standard,
Mortified, really.
so far as to say, under a system,
Thought that color blindness was a way to ignore
these
racism in
moments,
the appropriate way.
and most of all, one refers to the other as the weak, useless, pathetic,
I
diseased,
did not set
evil,
out to see how
heavy-handedly develops
Racism.
identity.
influenced art making. I did set out to see how
Things of the World was directed
Capitalism.
by Nina Gallen.
influenced art making.
I had to extend my limbs as far as I could imagine.
I did not pursue
Nina
Marchbanks
kept telling
because
me,
of his race.
reach, stretch, encompass the space.
I
It was a
invited him
physical performance.
because of a feeling.
During the
We
rehearsals
did not
with
know each
Nina
other well.
on this piece, I learned to connect with physical space.